As I looked at my life growing up, I had a decision to make. I could either, as I mentioned earlier, I could either become a product of the environment or I could change it, and that's what I chose to do. Went on to college, got into the Navy to try to figure out a way to pay for college because my dad, he just said, if you're gonna make it, you gotta figure it out on your own. They never saved for anything. They didn't teach me very much about money at all. And thankfully, I got a great scholarship, decided to go on and pursue medicine. I double majored in chemistry and biology. And I had some amazing people step into my life. I knew that if I was gonna make it, I had to find key people who had what I wanted in life and really just ask them how they got it and just try to pursue that. So I did go to school, double majored in chemistry, biology. I found doctors though, and started asking them how their life was. And what I found out was most of the people that I interviewed, sadly their life wasn't where they wanted it. Their family was kind of in shambles, although they were financially very successful. And I figured out there had to be a way to get both time and money. So I found the most amazing lady, Heather. I married her and I started an incredible family. Although we didn't have much to go on, I actually walked out of school. I decided that being a doctor and really committing my life to medicine and not having a family wasn't really my path. I wanted both. I wanted to have an amazing family while also having the ability to go on and be successful. Although I didn't really know how that was gonna work, I just figured I'd keep on going and somehow I would figure out a way. Ended up moving to Ohio, and we lived in my wife's parents' basement for about 9 months, completely broke, and just spent time trying to find ways to connect with different organizations, get into a company that I could actually be successful, and ultimately landed at a pretty prominent insurance company here in the area. Started investigating insurance fraud. It was a very cool job, and I had a lot of notoriety in that. Led a team of individuals. Although unfortunately we were also suffering financially. You know, it doesn't necessarily pay the bills. And I found myself, after a very short period of time, really putting food and fuel on credit cards. We were suffering. And I'll never forget, we had our first child, and I decided that, you know, I didn't want someone else to raise my kids. So Heather came home, and she just committed to being the best mommy she could, and I committed to trying to make sure that would happen. Went to church here at a local church and ended up meeting one of the most profound individuals I've ever met, Tony Sachs. Little did I know that he would ultimately help change my life. But we used to, you know, play poker together. We'd get together in the evenings and really formed a group of individuals, friends that I could just kind of go to, guys. And I remember one evening specifically, I watched Tony, and he would buy in multiple times. You know, we'd run out of chips, he'd just keep buying in, having a great time. All I had was 20 bucks. That's all I could buy in, and I was done. And I remember asking him, I just said, Tony, what do you do? What's the deal here? I see you're doing very well. You're wearing nice clothes. Obviously, he's very humble always. I said, well, what do you do? And he says, oh, Scott, I'm in insurance just like you, it's fine. See, Tony never wanted to talk to his friends or his family about what he does. He just figured he'd grow his company, and if people wanted to work with him, that's fine. He's always been just that kind of a guy, very humble. So I finally asked him, I said, why don't you take me out and show me what you do, and maybe I'll take a look at it. Because you see, I had approached him and I said, well, that's the kind of thing where you got to sell your friends and family and all this. Because you see, I'd done almost every multi-level marketing company there is up to that point. You name it, I had tried it. And of course, you know, you're looking for something, but even though you don't know what it is, you still seek for it. And sadly, we never made any money. We burned away a lot of the friends and family relationships that we had. And when Tony said to me that he doesn't talk to a single one of his friends, family, doesn't sell anybody that he knows, he just simply goes out and speaks to people that have requested him to be there, I said, I've got to get a piece of that. I've got to understand more about that. So I did. I jumped in the car with him, and I watched him make $4,000 in 2 days. I wasn't making that kind of money in 2 months. I realized that if I could just do that, it would probably change my life. Although I didn't really understand how he did it, I didn't even think I had the confidence to do it, I wanted to figure out a way. So he said, hey, you got to get licensed, man. And so I did. I got licensed. Although it took me 6 months to really call him back. I was so afraid. We were struggling. We were putting food, as I mentioned, fuel, all kinds of things on credit cards. I remember my wife coming to me, and she would ask, you know, can I go buy a shirt, even though it might be from Walmart or something simple. And I had to make the decision, no, honey, you can't. I'm sorry, we've got to buy food this week. It's one of the hardest things a man would ever have to tell his wife, because you see, when we got married, I painted the picture, hey honey, I'm gonna be a doctor, we're gonna make this thing big, I'm gonna do this, we're gonna be so successful, you'll never want for anything. And here I am all these years later, it's like 7 years later, still just struggling, paycheck to paycheck, like most of America does. We had a 6-month-old at the time, and I just had enough. In fact, I was suicidal. I'm not ashamed to say it. I was just, in fact, it's embarrassing, but I think so many people are out there in that same position. So if my story can help somebody, that's really why I'm not so ashamed to tell it. I had taken out an insurance policy almost 2 years ago, and I knew that contestability period was almost up, and I figured that was the only way I was really gonna be able to leave something, some sort of a legacy, because I'd almost given up. I'll never forget the look in my wife's eyes when I said, just stay strong, honey, we'll make it someday. And as I looked at her, she would never indicate this on purpose, but I looked at her and I saw, it was almost a thought of, okay, we'll see. And that crushed me. And I went to my pastor at church during that time. You see, I had already ridden with Tony, I'd already gotten licensed, but because of chaos, I had just lost touch of all the opportunities at hand. And I came to my pastor at church and I said, Pastor, either something you're teaching is wrong, maybe the good word's off, or something I'm doing is terribly wrong. And I felt like I was doing everything right. You see, I was working so hard. I was putting in everything I could. I was trying to live the best life possible, but I had the wrong vehicle. And I just told him, I said, I don't understand it. Something's gotta be off. And he told me the most profound thing anyone's ever really said to me. He said, Scott, sometimes you get to a position in life where everything seems to be just falling apart and you really can't figure out the right way to go, because God's trying to direct you in the only position that makes sense, the position He's been trying to put you into all along. And that's all I had to hear. I stood up, I shook his hand, and Tony came to mind immediately. I called him and I said, buddy, I'm in. In the first year that I was in business, the level of mentorship, the level of training, the systems that I saw this man had put into place, I knew I couldn't fail. In my first month, I saw $22,000 in deposits. My first year, we had $200,000 in deposits. It's only gotten better since then. But the crazy thing is, I'll never forget this. After he told me, he said, listen, for 9 months, don't do anything. He's like, don't spend any money, just keep on banking it. And I was watching my savings account just grow. We had $5,000 in our account, and 10, and then 20. It was more money than I've ever seen in my life. You see, we used to wait for that refund check because we've been loaning the government money tax-free all year long, you know, interest-free all year long. And we'd take that and it would just pay towards a credit card. But now I actually had savings, the bills were paid. And I went to Tony and I said, I can't believe this, what do I do with it? He said, just leave it. Just keep living normal, just keep going, do your thing. You see, so many other companies out there would want you to spend that, so that way you've got to work harder. But Tony always had my best interest, my long-term success in mind. And so I took his advice. And we started developing systems. We started putting things into place. Our lead system is second to none. I thought that was amazing how these people wanted me to show up at their house and just talk to them about insurance. It's the most amazing thing when you can go to someone's door. You don't even have to set an appointment, and you just simply look at what they have, educate them on their options, and they want to buy from you because you've got the best opportunity. 15, 20 different carriers. Are you kidding me? We can't lose. We're doing something ethical in every single house, having the ability to write the best possible coverage available. If they've got something in place that's subpar, we're gonna help them graduate to the best. That's amazing. We're touching people's lives. And so I finally found something that I could do with dignity, with purpose. And the things that we were able to do personally along the way, my first year, I was able to give to our church more than we used to make in an entire year. We talk about changing lives. And of course, we were able to do other amazing things that, you know, really shouldn't be talked about, but we're able to help people, and that's really what's important. And then I started having friends and other folks come to me and ask if I could teach them how to do what I've done. And your lifestyle changes a little bit. I'll never forget when I could take my wife and I just told her, I said, listen, hon, we've been delaying gratification for so long. Just go replace your entire wardrobe. Because I always remember when I couldn't even help her go buy a shirt, I said, just hire a personal shopper, a consultant, just throw away everything, go buy everything new. It was a lot of money, but I'll tell you, the look on her face was profound. It was one of the most amazing, joyous feelings because I'd finally seen the realization of that hope that I had given her so long ago. I'll tell you, man, I mean, we had sold our car. We had 2 cars, both of them were old and busted. We had sold one of those. My little girl, my first little girl was only 6 months old, and we had sold it for pennies on what it was worth, just so I could buy leads and get out there and make it happen, buy supplies, a printer for my business. I mean, so many silly things, but we sacrificed because I knew if I could just go for a year, hard as I could, we'd make it. I remember coming home sometimes midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, just because I had a dream, man. I finally had a vehicle to accomplish it. My little girl, I'd leave before she woke up. I'd come home after she had gone to bed. I hit my knees and just cried many a times. 1, because I was so overjoyed that I made $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 that day, but 2, because the sacrifice was real. But you fast forward a year, 2 years, I've been able to buy my wife a brand new car off showroom floor, just whatever you want, honey, go do it. I was able to buy my dream car and just drive it off the showroom floor, brand new BMW 535xi, just so beautiful. And we were able to do that. Tony would say, hey, let's go buy some ATVs. All right, let's go do it. We didn't even think about money anymore. Hey, you want to buy a Harley? Let's do it. I brought a brand new Harley Davidson, the best I've ever seen. I put all kinds of stuff on it. You start to live in a situation where you're giving more money than you've ever given. You're helping everybody you can, and you still got that excess, and you're able to do incredible things with it. And the most amazing thing is, you just, rather than going out to eat, and I remember I would tell my wife, okay, if you get this and we just get water and maybe we'll share this. No, now it's, okay, you know, we can go out and we'll drop $80 on a steak. We'll go out and we'll just order all the sides and have an amazing time. Dinner might cost $250, $500. It doesn't matter, because it's such a small portion of your income that you just don't even think about it anymore. And I know if I was sitting on the other side of this early on, I'd be judgmental. I'd be hating that individual. Oh my gosh, how can you talk about that? I can't pay my bills. But you see, when you find real people, raw people who started with nothing and they built it to a level of success, all you can do is just really be proud of them. And that's what I saw in Tony. And I've always wanted to just model. We try to be very humble. We try to live way below our means, because you never know when an opportunity to help somebody else is going to come up, and you want to be able to do that. But I also want to help other people understand, agents understand that, look, if you just do what we've done, I promise you, you'll have what we have. We're able to give out the top contracts in the industry. We're able to work in situations where we're close to home. I'm able now to be able to go out and just 2-3 days a week hit my goal and focus the rest of the time on my family, on my company, on my agents, making sure that they have everything that they need. Now I'm on the phone 24/7 with these folks to make sure that if they're in a house, I'm there to support them. Our level of mentorship is incredible. Every single person on my team, and we're doing incredible amounts of volume. They've been in my car. We've got systems in place where they never have to hurt or need for anything. They know where everything that they need is located. They don't worry about it. They simply just go out. They're gonna have leads every single week. They don't have to pay up front for them. By the time one of our agents has gotten started, now Tony has gotten $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 invested in them, just to make sure they have leads in their area, to make sure that when they go out every single week, there's people to see. They don't have to worry about it. They've got appointments with multiple different carriers. We've got direct contracts with carriers. So if you've got a problem, we can usually overcome it and make sure you get contracted. These are the kinds of things that NSC brings to the table. These are the kinds of things where agents who are struggling, agents who have been just really put out on their own, they feel like a lone island, you know, they've got nowhere to go. We bring you into the family. We've got a culture that we tie you into, where if you're struggling, you're gonna have 20, 30, 400 agents that have got your back, but you'll find a niche of people that really you just fall in love with, and they've got your back no matter what. Every single time you write a case, they're gonna celebrate it. And if you have a problem, by goodness, they're gonna let you call them and figure out. We've got so many single moms on our team, and it's amazing to watch how they'll just work together and how they'll have each other's back, even though there's really no financial interest in their success. They just want the whole company to succeed. That's really what the big change agent has been. It's the fact that we've got so many leaders on our team and our organization. The industry jokingly calls us the Navy SEAL team, because we accept the best, and really we don't want to keep anything less than that. We go out and we accomplish way more with less people. And that's the kind of thing that we bring to the table. When we sit in a house, our agents are so well trained, they're so qualified, we find mistakes and we truly become the advocate for that family. And you should hear some of the stories. Our agents love their clients. They go back and see them. They'll bring them flowers. They'll bring them coffee, donuts. One sweet little lady, I remember writing a policy on her. She told me at the door she could never get coverage. And I'll never forget, this is 2 or 3 years ago. I was able to help her out. She called me just a few weeks back and she said, honey, I think it's time. I'm like, what do you mean time? What's that mean? She says, come out. I want to make sure my beneficiaries are in order. It's not going to be very long. She'd been diagnosed terminal. I sat with her, I brought her coffee, donuts, I prayed with her, I cried with her. And sure enough, that weekend she called me. Her family had called me. She had passed away. And I just remember making sure the family got that check, making sure that the funeral and everything went as it was supposed to go, that the funeral home didn't overcharge the family or do anything that they weren't supposed to do. I was truly an advocate. So the neat thing is that we're able to provide for families in need. We're able to provide for agents in need. We're able to build something strong that's going to last forever, that's going to ring throughout eternity, that generations from now, hopefully, we'll have been able to change the industry so that when the insurance man or when the insurance lady's walking down the street, people celebrate versus run and hide. And that's what we're trying to do at NSC. And I tell you what, if you come join us, you'll never look back. You'll be very proud that you did.